Here with your hosts Brian and Craig. We got episode 131 for you. Talks on Tuesday, Pressure Edition. This week's episode right now is going to be we're going to give you some of the players, coaches, teams, whoever we think has the most pressure going on into the season of the NFL. After that, we got the headlines for you. We're going to discuss a plethora of items. Lord Stanley's Cup gets taken home. We got some Deshaun Watson news and some more things right after this. All right, guys, welcome in. Hey, Craig, good to have you on. I know you've had a tough couple days at work there. Craig just literally walked through the door, and we're gonna put this show here together for you. But I like to do these certain topics every time before every season starts in the NFL. We did one last week we did one Friday about the top 10 quarterbacks list. If you want to listen to our list, go check out that episode. But today we're going to give you some teams teams that are pressured, coaches or players, whoever we think have the most pressure going into the season, because it changes each year with different situations. And I'm going to start off with my first person here who has a lot of pressure on him, and I think that's Dak Prescott. I think that's Dak because honestly, first of all, number one, it's the Cowboys quarterback, right? It's one of the biggest pressured quarterback positions in the NFL just because that logo. It's like being the shortstop for the New York Yankees. There's a lot of pressure on that person to perform. I think the pressure is because he's got paid. He's got paid a lot of money, and people want to see him make that leap. Can he win it without Amari Cooper? Can he win it without a great offensive line? Can he win it and make others better? I think this is his year. I talked about it on Friday of our quarterback list. He's got to prove it this season. We've had some health issues last two seasons. He missed basically the whole season the year before. Then he came back as he had the calf injury. There's really no more excuses right now. He's got to step up and be able to get this team past the hump this season. Where would you say he needs to get to end all the questions? I mean, we talking NFC Championship game?
Well, I mean, ideally, you'd like to say that, but he needs to win a playoff game. He needs to go in and dominantly win a playoff game. He needs to not back his way in, not win because the other team got hurt or something like that. He needs to go in and own a playoff game and throw for 350 or 400 yards and 3 touchdowns and put a team on his back and carry him to a playoff win. He needs to carry him through the early part of the season where they play Tampa and I'm drawing a blank off the top, but they played 2 very tough games right
Tampa,
off the top.
And I forget who they play. But you're
and they could very easily be 0-2. If you come in and you win one of those games or win 2 of those games, and show the NFL I'm here and I'm putting up yards and everything like that. Absolutely. He has him, and I think McCarthy as well. And Kellen Moore, and I think that whole deal, because if they come out and lay an egg and start out 0-2 or 1-3, they're going to be behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, you open up with the Buccaneers, then you go to the Bengals.
That's what it is.
In your first,
you could very very easily be 0-2. Now you get a couple division games that can even that out at 2-2.
Yep.
But then the Rams, so that's 1-3.
Yeah. I picked McCarthy on here. I guess you could kind of side note it in with Dak Prescott because McCarthy has his successor right over his shoulder. It could be either one, the offensive coordinator or Dan Quinn. Not only that, but with the owner that's done this before. We've seen it with Jason Garrett and the old man. What's the old man?
Yeah, Wade. They quit
Wade
on
Phillips.
Wade though.
Yeah.
They quit on Wade though. They went in and lost. They went in and lost like 52-0. I mean, they just didn't even come out of the locker room for Wade. He had no other choice but to do that. But there is a story that once Wade got fired, Jason added a bunch of plays to the playbook that weren't there before, and who knows if any of that's ever true. I don't think we'll ever get a firm, clear deal that was true.
But McCarthy has a lot to prove, and so does Dak.
100%. It's his third season, and he didn't make the playoffs the 1 year with no Dak, obviously, but and then they make the playoffs last year, but then lose to a to me not as talented San Francisco team. Even though San Francisco did go in and go to the NFC Championship game and everything like that, it still to me was a team that talent-wise was not as good as the Dallas Cowboys.
Right, and this defense, you told me last season that this defense was going to win them some games. I would have laughed at you starting off because their defense wasn't, but their defense stepped up. And I think Dan Quinn was a fantastic hire. I think Dan Quinn bringing him back was fantastic for them. I think their defense will be better. Their secondary, I saw something. They ranked the secondaries the other day, and they're ranked, I think, 21st. So they're hoping to come out and improve. I think they're.
To me, that's kind of where Diggs is one of those, I'm going to risk everything and I'm going to get a lot, but then I'm going to get burned a lot. To me, I'm not an Antonio Brown fan. That guy can't cover a fire hydrant. The kid from Michigan, the slot corner there, he gets burned a lot of times. He's had a couple good games and a couple bad games. Those guys are average at best. Is the secondary is they don't have a safety. They've never had a safety.
They don't value that position. Pretty much.
They don't. They don't. They don't use it in the draft. They waste late round picks on it. They pick up free safeties that are safeties off the free agent market that are Kayvon, and these guys that are long in the tooth and guys have gotten rid of, and that's who they put in there. And okay, they've had some good seasons, but their pass defense, if it wasn't for the front guys,
what hold this.
Getting there, the secondary would be exposed.
Yep, you're exactly right. All right, Craig. Well, give me somebody on your list that you think has a lot of pressure going into this season.
Unfortunately, it's not fair because it's only his second season. But Zach Wilson is under a mountain of pressure, and the schedule that he's going to face is going to make that mountain an even tougher hill to climb with a new coach and new coordinators and everything like that. But they're already talking about that by mid-season he could be benched and be moving on from him. This kid's in his second year, and he's under, all of a sudden, the New York media and the New York area has put this kid under a microscope and said, put up or shut up. And I just don't, I can't wrap my head around this because we've talked about the schedule. They're very easily going into the bye in week 8, and they're not going to have a win. And it really doesn't matter what Zach Wilson does.
Right.
I don't see a path, even if he has some good games. I don't see a path where that defense, they had a good draft. They had a very solid draft. But I just don't see that team helping that kid out.
And that draft puts a lot of pressure on too. Saying, "Hey, we got you some talent. We got you this.
We got you some talent. We got you some help." And puts pressure around it.
A rebuild and building a franchise takes a long time, and you've got to have some patience.
Look how long it took Cincinnati.
Yeah, you've got to have patience, and if first of all, if they were to move on from Zach Wilson and mid through the way through the season, it'd be a big mistake.
I think so.
You don't know how good he's going to be. You haven't given him the proper amount of time, and maybe that's this head coach, because this head coach has got a lot of proof, right? He's a newly head coach, didn't do so well this last season. So it's got a lot of pressure, and pressure tends to make you make bad decisions.
Yeah,
early decisions that you're not willing to wait on. But
it depends on what kind of has ownership told them. Hey, you're going to have this long on this guy, because I mean, that's hard when it's not the guy you drafted. When it's not your guy, it's hard to do you stick with him or do you go get your own guy?
Right.
You go get your own guy, then you save your job type deal. But I don't know. It just seems like a bad break on Zach Wilson's part, because granted, he didn't have the competition in college. He didn't play the same level,
right?
But he put up the numbers, and he went to the combine, and they somehow believed in him to draft him, and now here we are a year and a half later, and they want to kick him to the curb, and I just hope that doesn't happen for his sake.
I think as long as you're seeing, regardless of the wins and losses, as long as you're seeing progression.
Yeah,
you're seeing, because he threw some bad interceptions last year where he didn't look like he knew where he was on the field. So you're hoping he has some more confidence, and he's going to find it in himself, because he's going to be blitzed a lot, he's going to be pressured a lot, his team's going to keep losing, and it's hard to gain that confidence when you're not winning.
When you're hanging L's every week, it is hard to gain confidence.
So another sorry, my printer was messing up. Another one I got on the list is the Cleveland Browns, and they did this to themselves. I think they've got a lot of pressure on them, and with the situation they put themselves in, with the Deshaun Watson debacle, that's all they've talked about. This team looked like it was ready to win. This is probably the best, well put together team we've seen the Cleveland Browns in a really, really long time, and then they decide to punt on the quarterback that has been the best quarterback they've had since Cozart. Okay. They give so much money, guarantee money to Deshaun Watson. He is probably going to miss the whole season. Baker Mayfield is on his way, it looks like, to Seattle. It's not official yet, but they have this win now team that is going to start Jacoby Brissett to be their starter. And my gosh,
Yahtzee.
The ownership could be looking for an scapegoat. They're looking to put some blame down on the head coach or whoever.
That guy's gone. I'm going to tell you that right now. They will not make the playoffs, and that guy's going to be the first one to go. 100%.
I don't know. Sad. You think the head coach? Because I think the head coach has done a fantastic job.
I think whoever went to the owner and said we need to trade for Deshaun Watson, that's who I think needs to go.
Yeah, and hey, the owner the owner might have been the one, but he's not going to fire
because they didn't do the research when they did it. I tell you that.
No, they did not. It's like they called them in and said, "Hey, did you do this? No, okay, here's some money.
All right, good enough. Here's $250 million.
We're good." So they put.
What's that? We're backing up the Brinks truck. It's coming right in. So yeah, 100%. The Browns are deal, because they're not. Jacoby Brissett is not the answer. He's not ever gonna be the answer. He wasn't the answer in Indy. He hasn't been the answer anywhere he went.
He's the ultimate bus driver quarterback.
Yes,
that's it.
And Cleveland needs a whole lot more than a guy driving the bus, because Baker's more than that, and they didn't like that. So they
finally get a competent quarterback in Baker Mayfield, and they throw him under the bus faster than white on rice.
I hope he goes to Seattle, and I hope he lights things on fire. I hope he lights the world on fire in Seattle. I hope DK Metcalf's a NFL MVP. I've never liked Baker because of his attitude sometimes, his
arrogance.
Look at me, arrogance, type deal. The whole crotch chopping in college, to me, it's not necessary. He brings a lot of, taking the flag and trying to stick it in the AstroTurf. He brings a lot of attention to himself, when if he just went out there and played football and let his game do the talking, then he would be fine. But you can't fault what he did. He took an organization who didn't have a playoff win in a lot of years and was
31
really
years, I think,
and was really just a couple minutes from beating the Kansas City Chiefs and going to the AFC Championship. Patrick Mahomes had to wave his magic wand and pull that rabbit out of his hat. But, yes, I believe Cleveland is under amount, and I believe it could be even longer than this season, because if Deshaun gets the indefinite suspension, then he may never play. I mean, I don't know what indefinite means, but so yeah, I agree.
Which we'll talk about
my next one
in the headlines in a little bit about Deshaun. Got
Yeah.
some more information on him. But
My next one's going to be Daniel Jones of the New York Giants. That kid has better. I mean, he has 1 year, or else he is going to be looking for a job. He's going to be on the street. He's going to be out, and I mean out as in I don't think if he starts out rough, if he starts out throwing some bad picks and some bad deals and then I think they go with whoever the backup is in New York there. I think they pull the trigger early because they got a new coach. They got a new GM. They're going to try to start over, and this is his shot to prove them wrong. And if he doesn't, then he's going to be on the rocks. And you will see that trigger. He's going to have a very short leash. And
yeah, he's not good.
I saw a thing the other day. They were like, they set up the jugs machine like Daniel Jones, and they put the football in, and it goes about 6 inches and falls to the ground. And the wide receiver's like, what?
Well, yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
Daniel Jones, he has a lot of pressure to put on him.
A lot of pressure. And the same thing, if they start hanging L's out there, the pressure is going to mount super quickly.
And I feel I don't say I feel bad for him, but he's not good.
Well, he didn't have a very good head coach.
He didn't have a good head coach. His star running back
he had Jason Garrett as an offensive coordinator. His star running back decides to get hurt every time he takes the field.
He is the most overrated running back in the NFL. It doesn't scare me.
And he's always hurt. I don't know. Christian McCaffrey's real close.
Well, yeah. Well, Christian McCaffrey can catch the ball like a wide receiver.
I understand that, but he can't stay on the field.
That's the only why I think he might give me a little fit, but I still don't believe in.
But I mean, he's had wide receivers change out like shirts. I mean, he
couldn't get the ball to Odell.
Yeah, no, he couldn't get the ball to Beckham. And everybody wants to blame him,
which Baker didn't either. But
yeah, and that's what I'm trying. I mean, so we will see. Where that goes, but I think Daniel Jones is under a mountain, and I think he's going to be quickly to be replaced.
Yeah, I was hoping Dayball would have got rid of him because he's bad. He is bad, and I like their coach.
Well, when they drafted him, I was like, Buffalo. What are we doing? I was like, thank you, New York. I was like, here's a couple years of terribleness.
Yeah, they were like, he looks like the new Eli Manning, but he just because he looks like him physically doesn't mean he's going to play.
Only guy that can trip over the 30-yard line and face the middle of the field.
Wide open. Oh, my goodness. All right, well, the next guy on my list is a head coach, and I think it's Cliff Kingsbury. You might be like, well, he did win some games last year.
I think that was overrated. Yes,
it was
100%.
a fluke.
100%.
He's got to prove he can win and win all year long. They started off hot. And then they ran into a buzzsaw.
And without his number one wide receiver.
They dropped off big time. They did, without his number one wide receiver. Now they just did add Hollywood Brown. But not only that, he's got to prove he can win, and he's got to prove he can mend fences with his quarterback, who is a little diva. He's a little Aaron Rodgers in the making.
And they still haven't paid him, so that's good luck with that.
And I say Aaron Rodgers as in the diva part of it, not the talent, because I think Kyle Murray is one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. But Cliff Kingsbury was one season they were talking about getting rid of him, and then they go on that run, and they're like, man, I think he's on a tight leash there. Patrick
he's
says
always been able to. Put offense up. He defensively, he's just never he's never had a defense. I mean, he didn't have a defense in Texas Tech. He didn't have a defense, he just never has one.
Patrick says nothing best but fumble, epic fail. I don't know what that's. I don't know what that is. He saying the butt fumble, but that was. I don't know, Patrick.
It says beats, not best.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. Well, Daniel Jones. Is that what you're talking about? Daniel Jones fumbles the football.
Oh yeah. Anytime you get around him.
Anytime you look at him weird, he fumbles the football. Thank you, Patrick. We're glad you're back in on this episode, guys. If you're listening, if you stream us live on YouTube, you can actually interact with the show, and we'll pitch your comments right on and read them on air. Yeah, I think with this one, Cliff Kingsbury is the biggest thing is when you have a fight between what they consider a star quarterback and a head coach. Who is management going to believe? Who is the owner? Who is the owner they're going to believe? Does he want to keep the head coach or the quarterback? And more than likely, it's the quarterback. If you think he can win, unless you're Seattle and you'd rather throw away your elite quarterback and hang on to your old dinosaur of a Pete Carroll there. Well, that's why I think if Baker goes there, he won't work out because Pete Carroll's running the show. But that's here nor there. I just think Cliff is on the hot seat to put it all together. But
yeah, speaking of Russ, I think he's on the list of having an absurd amount of pressure on him to go to a new team, and here's a team in Denver who says they're a quarterback away, and he goes and they give him the money and they give him the contract, and if he goes in and falls short in that division, because that division is brutal, we've talked about it. They're gonna have to. Yeah. So if he goes in and goes 8-8, or 8-9 or 9-8 or whatever, and falls short of the playoffs, that's going to be a huge. I mean, Denver will be screaming because they said that all we needed was a quarterback. We gave you Russell Wilson, and so I think the Denver Broncos are under a mountain of pressure. Because if they don't perform and don't make this deal out to be what they said it was going to be, then that's going to be, the fans will be in uproar, and John Elway will be looked at as what are we doing?
Right. Well, I've been beating that drum last year, last couple of years. They just need a quarterback. They just need a quarterback. So, I think it's going to take some time for him to acclimate a little bit, but I still think they're going to be good. Now, but you're correctly right. If they go in and he comes off with a 8-9 season and they fail to make the playoffs, there's going to be some question marks going. Oh,
there's going to be a lot of loud voices. A
lot of loud voices for an organization who seems to draft pretty good, except when it comes to quarterbacks.
Yes, from the guy who was a quarterback.
Yeah. Well, I have the only other guys on my list are quarterbacks, and I'll give you the one right now. Kirk Cousins is under an immense amount of pressure up in Minnesota. It's a prove-it year. This is the last year of his contract. He just got a new coach, which I've heard rumors about Vikings saying that finally a head coach that's all about passing. We're going to have to see if Kirk Cousins is a good fit for that. Can Kirk Cousins get them
Dalvin
over the hump?
Just loves to hear.
Yeah. This team is a talented football team who continues to lose. They always put up good defense. They have one of the best wide receiver crews in the league. They have one of the best running backs in the NFL. Kirk Cousins is he amazing? No. Is he crap? No. He's that above average bus driver. And so it's time for him to show up or shut up. And I think being a new head coach, and this isn't the quarterback that he chose. This is the he's going to plug in his new offense. It's supposed to be offensive minded. They have too many. I just don't understand how they don't win. Their wide receiver group, they should be throwing up and down the field on any defense. They should be able to win a division. That's the only thing they've done that's been relevant is win
Wide
a division
receivers have
a
had
while back. But
injuries. The last Jefferson had some injuries, and Thielen both have had some injuries and missed some games.
They've been in and out there, but
they haven't both been able to be on the field at the same time. But still, Kirk Cousins will come out one week and look like the MVP, and then he'll come out the next week and look like Drew Lock. And so you got to figure out which one's the real Kirk Cousins. And he's never played prime time worth. I mean, his prime time stats are horrible.
He doesn't win in prime time. You're playing Kirk Cousins in a prime time game. That's an automatic
W. He just pees on his leg. Yeah, he just pees on his leg. Dallas beat him a couple years ago. You know, they haven't had it down to the thing, and Dallas beats them with the backup quarterback. You know,
this is the only team in my division that I'm actually a threat to the Green Bay Packers. So it's a rivalry, and they're talented. They have a better wide receiver group than we do, definitely. So we'll see what happens this year with them. But the head coach there, the new head coach, could be looking to move on from him after the season. And like I said, this is the last year of his contract.
I don't think Cousins is there next year. That's just my personal opinion.
I don't think so either. I think it all rides on this year and how good the head coach feels he can run his system, but it's yet to be seen there.
I think, to be honest with you, I think either way he leaves, because I think if he has a good season, I think somebody pays him, and then I think if he has a bad season, the Vikings just kind of move,
anyway.
You know. But we'll see.
You got another one on your list?
I think
I got one more. If you don't,
the Washington Commanders, with everything that is going on with that dumpster fire of a deal and Ron Rivera, I think that team with Carson Wentz being under the deal, I think this is his last shot at showing what he can do. And if he doesn't prove himself in Washington, then it'll be the career backup role. You know, if he wants to stay in the NFL, it'll be a basically your bounce around backup role type deal. And so I think the Washington Commanders are under a ton of pressure and stress to win and prove that they can, that these moves that they made, that their defense is back to where it was. That defense was one of the top in football, and last year had a horrific season. People were just running up and down the field on them. And Carson Wentz, I mean, if he comes out there and starts slinging the balls and slinging interceptions and not being able to hit these top wide receivers, I mean, he's got McLaurin, he's got all these guys, he's got a pretty solid run game, he's got a top offensive line. There's no reason in which he shouldn't perform if he is the guy that he's supposed to be. I don't think that he is. I think he's overrated. I thought he was overrated even the year that he had the MVP season. I think it was just a flash in the pan. I think he's a head case. I think the second he gets any kind of anybody talking about him or anybody putting any kind of pressure on him, and they drafted a quarterback and he folded. Aaron Rodgers, they draft a quarterback and he wins 2 MVPs. So
yeah.
I mean, here's the deal. It's all in how you handle the situation. I thought when he went to Indy, that was going to be his deal to march back up with Frank Reich. I thought that was going to be where he shined, and he completely laid the egg and disappointed me there. So I don't have any faith in him in Washington, but I think he's under a massive amount of pressure, him and the organization themselves.
You're exactly right. The Eagles, not only that, the Eagles fan base ruined them. And then they put up a statue of the backup quarterback who won the Super Bowl, like walking into work every day, seeing that didn't.
Yeah, and then you walk into your GM's office and he's got a fat head of the guy on the wall.
Yeah, and he paid you all this money. Yeah, I thought when Wentz went to Indy, that was going to be it. He's got a great offensive line, a good running back, the good defense is going to be Frank Wright, hook him back up together, and he completely fell off the cliff of 1 year. He can he get back to that spot? I don't think so. I think the injury and Philadelphia really messed with him. The Washington Commanders are talented. They do have a talented football team. I do like their head coach, Ron Rivera. I think that's one of the best decisions they decided to do when they hired him. I was like, okay, now they have a head coach that can come in here and make some changes for the good. They are under a lot of pressure. Their owner with Daniel Snyder. Hopefully he has to sell the team. We'll see what's going on with that. He's been subpoenaed, but hopefully it's heading to that. But this is a lot of pressure on them, and they're it's going to be a dogfight for that division if the Cowboys slip up. The Cowboys to me are the front runners. But if it slips up, I could see it going to the Commanders or the Eagles. I don't think the Giants have a chance with Daniel Jones. But anyways, the last guy on my list is the guy I think has the most pressure of anybody heading in the NFL this season, and that's Tua Tagovailoa, or however you pronounce his last name. Okay. This guy's got to prove he's got it. This guy has to prove that this is the deal. Look, there was a lot of rumors with him and Brian Flores when he was there that Brian Flores straight up told him, I wish I would have drafted a different quarterback. You're not good enough, yada, yada, yada. They went out and they got Tyreek Hill. They drafted Jalen Waddle. They got Cedric Wilson from the Cowboys. You have one of the best. That's very talented. They came out and put their money where their mouth is, and they're basically telling them to show up or shut up because they went out and they spent the money. They went out and did this, and I think they got a lot of questions to answer there. The Miami Dolphins has been that team that used to be a laughingstock of the NFL, right? They used to lose every season. They've put it together a couple seasons. Brian Flores was the best coach they've had. They fired him for some weird reason.
Man,
the dumbest decision they could have done. And they draft Tua when they could have drafted Herbert. If they had Herbert with that defense, and oh man, my goodness. So it's a lot of pressure on them to be good. And Tua Tagovailoa.
Justin Herbert's thanking the draft gods every day for that deal.
Yes,
he's like, yes.
It reminds me. I need to look that up. It reminds me of the Kings. Like I said, 3 years in a row, they drafted somebody, and the guy that went directly after him turned out to be all-stars, like Luka Doncic. Then it happened 3 years in a row. I'm like, oh my gosh, could you imagine? You just want to shoot yourself, eat it at the end of the day. Like, my goodness. Patrick says the Cowboys are going to the Super Bowl. Patrick, I would not hold your breath, buddy. The odds are not in your favor, but the odds are not in my favor either. Odds are actually not in anybody's favor. Laces out. Go Fence.
Not in the NFC.
Go Oh, man. All right. Well, that is going to be it. Do you have anybody else on your list of pressures?
No. Tua was going to be my last one as well.
Yeah, Tua has a lot of pressure, and I think this is going to be it for him in Miami, and they're going to have to move on if not. But all right, guys. Well, we're getting ready to move into the headlines of the week. Let me find that the nice little video here. All right, guys. Last week we had the Lord Stanleys Cup is going home to Denver, the first time since 2001, as they beat Tampa Bay in a very close game, 2-1 at home in Tampa. They bring back.
That close.
Oh, 2-1 says it was close. Okay.
Yeah, I know, but Tampa didn't have a shot for 15 minutes. The end of the second period and the first 10 minutes of the third, they never even. Crumpler went down there and took a nap in the goal. He's like, "Oh, guys, wake me up when you get past center ice." Tampa looked lackadaisical. I was very disappointed in how they played in Game 6 after coming out and playing extremely well in Game 5. Forcing the Game 6, I thought they would force 7, and they didn't come out. They just came out and laid down.
I figured we were headed to Game 7, especially being in Tampa, and I was like, Tampa plays good at home usually.
And Vasilevsky in an elimination game, 100%. I thought we were going to a Game 7, and Tampa's offense didn't show up, especially when they scored first. When Stamkos scored first, I thought they were good to go.
Right.
And man, they didn't show up the second and third period at all.
Yeah. I'm glad.
But Colorado was clearly the best team all year.
Yeah.
They've got some really young young talent in McKinnon and McCarr. McCarr had 29 points in the playoffs. He's the youngest defenseman, to he wins the MVP, he wins the Stanley Cup. He's basically checked almost all the boxes of trophies that you can win and awards that you can win, individual awards and everything like that in his second year in the league. I mean, these guys are going to be amazing. Unless an injury happens or something like that, Colorado is going to be a team you have to deal with for the next 5-10 years down the road. And I think the New York Rangers are right there too. I think Tampa will fall off now because I think they'll kind of blow it up. They're older. They'll kind of move on and have to do a rebuild. It'll be interesting to see what Dallas does with this new head coach. But the Rangers and the Colorado Avalanche are going to be around for the next decade.
They tend to move on quick in hockey, right? With teams.
They do. It doesn't. There's not as many. That's why this destiny that that the
Lightning
Tampa had with 3 years in a row. That's unheard of. It's been since the 1970s when the Islanders went 4. So I mean, it's just in hockey, the contracts don't last as long. People move as fast. I mean, Corey Perry has switched teams 3 years in a row and
lost 3 Stanley Cups.
Lost 3 straight Stanley Cups. But I mean, he's at least picking the right teams to go to that are talented. And
come on back to Dallas. We'll take.
I wish you would. You miss that. You miss that in front of the net presence. You miss that kind of enforcer. Corey Perry was the guy that if anybody went after your guy, you knew Corey was going to go and get him back and make it even. And so yeah, if he's available and wants to play another season, I definitely wouldn't mind him coming back for Dallas and making another run at it. So but yeah, congratulations to Colorado. Did you see where they damaged the cup?
Oh yes. He comes sliding in there.
Dude's going to skate over for the team picture. Oh. Hey, have you skated much? Bro, what are we doing?
He dented it completely.
Yeah, they were like, the guy with the glove is like,
They did a slow motion of their faces, and they were like, oh, what the heck? You can see it goes round, and then it goes straight across.
Yeah. That was awesome.
I like it. I think the Stanley Cup is the
They didn't even get it off the ice yet. They damaged it. That's great.
I think it's the coolest trophy of all trophies
100%.
in sports. It's awesome. They get to take it with them, go home and party.
Everybody gets it for a day.
Whatever. Yeah, that's awesome.
And, they end up taking it to all the other sporting events, and you look on Twitter and all this stuff, and the guy's laying in bed with it. Eric Johnson's laying in bed with it. He's been 14 years in the league, and he finally wins his first Stanley Cup. And he takes it to his hotel room and sleeps with it that night,
I don't know what he want. I don't want to know what went on in that room, but
yeah. So it's absolutely by far with all the names of anybody that's ever won, having Gretzky's name on it, having Messier's name on it, having all these guys names on it from years and years and years, all the legends of the game, and know that they held the same cup. It's not a different one. It's the same cup. And that to me is just insane. And it's the one trophy that I would love to. It was here a few years ago, and you could go get your picture with it and everything like that, and it would have been awesome to go down there and see it and hold it and get a photo with it, because that's the coolest one in
Patrick says if Deshaun was in that room, who knows what would have happened. And I was thinking the same thing to Patrick, but I didn't want to say it out loud, but good for you for saying that. Yeah. You never know. Reports are he's over here humping tables as he's getting massages. Speaking of Deshaun though, Patrick, you gave us a great transition in. Deshaun Watson is our next topic here, Craig. Deshaun Watson, they started his punishment hearing today from the NFL. So we're hoping to wrap that up sooner than later. We'll finally figure out what it's going to be. The NFLPA does fear that it's going to
only
be
guy that I know of that gets to negotiate his own suspension in the NFL. He's like, hey guys, let's talk about this.
Yeah. Well, he talked about he wanted to negotiate a suspension. We're like, that's not how that works, buddy.
How that works, fam.
We're past all that, but the NFLPA is afraid they're going to do an indefinite suspension, which means he's suspended until the NFL says he can come back.
Well, what it is what they said is basically the indefinite says it's this year fully, and then we'll revisit it next offseason and see what we think. Because I think they want to do more research. I think they want to dive deeper into it and get in to talk to these women, and they want to see what they can find and see if they can find the one. Like I told you a few weeks ago, there's gonna be one that's gonna tell it all. That's gonna sing like a canary. There's gonna be one that the money's not gonna affect her. The fear of Deshaun's not going to affect her. There's going to be one that comes out before it's all said and done and says, this guy went completely off the rails. He completely made me feel uncomfortable. I went up there with the full intention of doing my job, and he made the whole situation an absolute train wreck. And they've already started to sue. These ladies have already started to sue the Texans organization for enabling him to do this by giving him the hotel room, by giving him the NDAs. They're adding the Texans into the lawsuit. This thing is far from over. And that's why the NFL, I think, wants to do the indefinite, because the more that comes out, I mean, every time we turn around, there's another woman. Who knows when the statute of limitations is up on this, and we find somebody down the road that's getting their ducks in a row right now and going to come out with the big bombshell. And so the NFL wants to give themselves an out if another big bombshell comes. Now, if nothing else comes, if this goes away and after the season is quiet, not on the home front, yeah, okay, we could reinstate him. But they want to give themselves an out by the indefinite, to where if something else drops, they can go, yep, well, we're just going to add to it.
Yep. And NFL PA Players Association there is worried about the indefinite suspension, because if they get away with it on Watson, then that leaves room for others that do things, and they can go, hey, it's an indefinite suspension until we do this. And so, I mean, I'm hoping we can get I just want an answer. Is it going to be a year? Is it going to be indefinite? Now, I did see a report, and I didn't see much of this go around, but they said that report says that Deshaun Watson's contract could be delayed by a year. So they're just going to cancel a year of his contract and add it on to the back end. So if it's only a year suspension, Cleveland doesn't lose out.
That to me is not fair.
It's not fair.
Especially because if you delay the contract, then what is his punishment other than just not playing football? There's no monetary. If you void the contract to add it to the back of the year, there's no monetary fine unless you come up with a number. Unless the NFL says you owe us $46 million.
Yeah, he's getting paid that regardless of whether he plays this year or not.
That's right. Well, because what happened was, when they put the contract in, they said, we're only going to charge you to the cap, the $1 million. So when the NFL suspends him for the full season, the only thing they can take from him is that $1 million. The other 45 was a signing bonus, so they can't take that.
He's going to be paid that regardless if he plays or not.
Yes,
$45 million.
He already got paid. He got paid $45 million when he signed his name on the dotted line. And then he gets the other $1 million this year. And then the other ones are 46, 46, and 46. No. But he got 40. They cut him a check. He signed a piece of paper. They handed him a check for $45 million, is the way I understood it.
I think you're right. It's totally unfair. The Cleveland Browns, anybody that touched this guy should have known some risks were coming.
Just as much. You should lose your year of eligibility. Right. If there's no punishment, then this suspension means nothing other than the Cleveland Browns have to suck for a year and get a draft pick. I mean, what's the punishment?
If they suck for that bad, can they take their draft pick? I think that's fair. There's got to be some consequences to choosing a guy like this, going out on the limb and doing this.
Yes.
And it's backfired completely in their face right now. Now,
If they go and suspend the contract for a year and don't take his money and don't take a draft pick from Cleveland, then this suspension means nothing.
Right. It's just 1 year, and then you'll be back. And
well, it's just pointless because nobody learns. Deshaun gets a year of to get healthier and stronger and learn the offense and whatever. And Cleveland gets a better draft pick because they're going to have Jacoby Brissett, and they build a better team because of it. There's no punishment.
He gets this right here.
Yep. Him and the Browns both.
Slap on the wrist.
Yes.
Now, I'm also interested to see what happens to Houston. Houston can be punished as well. They could take draft picks. They could fine them. I don't think
I fully hope that they do that as well.
You're exactly right. I don't think they'll fully go all out on Houston. I think a little fine here will suffice. I think the main thing is going after Deshaun Watson's what they want to do, and they're shooting for an indefinite suspension. We'll see if that happens. But the judge will.
I like the chances. I like the chances better with a judge rather than Goodell.
Oh, exactly, 100%. So
having the arbitrator rather than Goodell, I like my chances better.
And the judge, it shouldn't matter, but she's a woman, so that will maybe, she's not supposed to do that, but I never know. Speaking of still football, Commanders and Terry, the wide receiver Terry McLaurin, agreed to a 3-year extension worth up to $70 million. And this is a guy that I was hoping didn't sign and became angry and wanted to leave because I would love him in Green Bay. The guy is fantastic.
He was already angry. He wasn't showing up to camp, and I guess it worked.
It worked. They paid him, and they should have paid him. I think they probably could have paid him more. This guy has done a lot there with not much to work with. So that's all the football news we got for you guys. We saw he may give the judge the Deshaun special, Patrick says.
Maybe.
Coming up with those jokes today, Patrick. We like it. Freddie Freeman here returns to Atlanta over the weekend, and they gave him a fantastic standing ovation. The guy deserves it. I was really sad to see him leave Atlanta. They were sad to see him leave Atlanta. I was shocked as well.
Any kind of possibility for this.
I think Atlanta's to blame. When I was talking about that over the offseason, I think this is before you joined the show when this happened, but he came back twice to Atlanta and said, these are 2 contracts I'll play for, and they turned it down. So I think that's on them. They didn't want to pay him money, but it is what it is. Well, today came out that Freddie Freeman has parted ways with his agents who engineered the move to the Dodgers. So to me, that signals maybe he's regretting his decision to go join LA and leave Atlanta. He got that standing ovation to the point where he was almost in tears, pretty much wiping tears away. The standing
ovation got his ring. They gave him his ring and presented him his World Series ring, and yeah, it's an emotional deal. And and I mean, he played in Atlanta. His family loved Atlanta. He loved Atlanta.
He'll go back. I think this signals.
And I think that Dodgers thing is not like the grass wasn't greener on the other side of the road. I just think they're going to win some baseball games, but they got a lot of injuries right now. And Colorado beat them again the other night. I think that division's up for grabs, and San Diego is playing really good right now. If they get Tatis back, probably after the All-Star break, that's gonna only help them.
Well, she's 5th in voting.
Oh, don't start me, please stop.
What a joke! What a joke!
System is broken beyond an unfixable deal. Anybody who voted for Fernando Tatis, who has not played a single baseball game, should never be able to vote on anything ever again. Nope. And I'm talking about anything, not just baseball. Yep. Because they're probably the reason that we have the situation we have. But yes, I think he looks at LA and it's, that clubhouse isn't as tight knit as Atlanta's was. Atlanta had a really tight knit group over there. Jock Peterson, even who plays for the Giants, said that clubhouse over there was fun to play for, and he really wanted to go back, and it just didn't work out. And So I think what Atlanta is doing over there is something special, and I think if he gets a chance, then maybe he goes back. But I don't know for sure if that opportunity will ever present itself. Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Because LA is gonna want to get they would have to get a ton for him after what they paid for him.
How many years is his deal? Isn't it like a 5-year?
Yeah, fuck. They gave him a good haul of money.
Yeah, I just think this. He's the week after he just left Atlanta playing there, he's like, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe these guys got in my head and talked me into going somewhere else. And but all right, well, I had a lot more on Kyrie Irving, rumors, all this stuff floating around.
6 for 162.
Wow, yeah. So he'll be there quite a while.
Yeah,
and the only way he'll go back to Atlanta is probably
he'll be there the rest of his career.
Yeah, and unless Atlanta picks him up,
unless somebody trades for him, he'll be there the rest of his career.
Well, there's a lot of rumors on Kyrie Irving in the NBA, where he's going to go, what's going to happen to KD. If Kyrie going to go play for the Lakers for $6 million, no one wants Kyrie Irving. No one wants interest in him except the Lakers. All that disappeared when he decided to join and opt back for the Brooklyn Nets next season. So he will be of the Nets next year, and that means Kevin Durant will stay, and you'll see it. And I think this is really kind of a let's give it one more shot type of deal, and then I think the team will disperse after that if they can't bring home a championship. Because there was reports, and it was kind of interesting and crazy in my opinion, but that said that the Nets are not desperate to keep Kyrie Irving.
Well, basically what happened was they gave him the permission to go out and seek a sign and trade, and he couldn't find anybody to do it.
No,
they couldn't find anybody.
Lakers would have, but the package wasn't. They had no one.
That's what I'm saying. He couldn't find anybody to give up what the Kings were like. We're not doing that.
The Nets.
So yeah. So he said, "Well, my options are screwed. I'm going to have to sign the deal," and so he did. And
there were so many reports going, "Oh, everyone believes going to LA for $6 million. Everyone," and then it's
I think he would have. I think if you gave it up to him, he would have. But I think the package that the Lakers put together, I think the Kings looked at it, and slid it back across the table. Went, "Nah, you're gonna have to do better than that."
Yeah, the Brooklyn Nets. I just thought it was crazy because,
which I don't blame Brooklyn. I'm not taking a loss to get rid of a guy that of that caliber.
Yeah, no. Well, I just thought it was crazy that a report would come out and on Brooklyn's side saying we're not desperate to keep them, and I'm like, they're your only chance of winning. Period.
But I don't think they are desperate to keep them. I think they get a handful of draft picks and a handful of young superstars. Then, like I think if Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook would have been in the package, I think they take it.
Oh, they're not giving up Anthony Davis, but Russell Westbrook would have been.
Are they not the same caliber of player? I mean,
the LA's not giving up. LA's not giving up. Well, you keep saying Kings. It's the Nets, though.
well, whatever.
Big difference. No, but they're not giving up Anthony Davis. That's their staple. Him and LeBron. They're not giving that up.
How bad do you want Kyrie?
Not that bad. They don't want him that bad. I just as if you're the Brooklyn Nets without Kevin Durant and Kyrie, you're done. You're nothing. You're not even making the playoffs next year. You got Ben Simmons.
Well, no, you won't make the playoffs next year, but if you get enough draft picks, then you can rebuild it quickly.
They're still not. They're gone. They've gone from the favorites to nobodies without those guys.
Yeah,
and then they got.
I don't honestly. To me, they're not the favorites. To me, I think Milwaukee and Miami are both above them in the East anyway.
Well, I mean,
even with those two.
When they made the super team this last season, the favorites, they were the favorites. So presumably they're going to be really high on that board in Vegas as favorites just because of the players they got. And that's how it usually works. Usually. I
think people are starting to jump off the Kyrie bandwagon, I think, to me. I think the Kyrie Irving stock is
he's
crashing
absolutely
fast.
Insane.
Yeah.
Great player when he plays.
but he doesn't get the shot. He causes the drama, injuries.
Oh yeah, he's a cancer. He's a team cancer.
100%.
And the report said that they weren't desperate to keep those guys to go through a year that they just went through.
I agree.
But all right, we got one little bitty news for you here. Last news is Brittany Griner's suspension, extended 6 months over there in Russia in prison. And
see, this makes no sense to me because they've started the trial and everything like that. Now she can get up to 10 years.
That's where I was going
if they give her the max deal, but
it says
the trial shouldn't take 6 months.
It says large-scale transportation of drugs. What is large-scale? What does she have a whole bag full? Like, what are we talking about? What are they consider
I don't
large
know.
scale?
I don't.
Vladimir Putin said that she's not being held hostage, which I don't know if you believe him or not, but
I mean, it's technically not. It's not. It's different.
Large
I mean, they're not.
Scale?
She didn't capture her. They didn't. Capture
well, I know.
Her.
I know he's not.
You
just wonder if they're. I know they have a reason to hold on to her, but it's kind of like
I think they believe that they have somebody of an American statue that's more important than what she is. Now, as for her wife and family, yeah, she's super important.
Oh yeah.
But as the American superstar, the American we have to go get her, they're not going to give up
the terrorists that they wanted.
The terrorists and the bombers and you know, to get her back. So I believe that she's going to be there a while. I don't know if it'll be 10 years, but I believe Brittany Griner is going to be in a Russian prison for quite some time.
Right now, they said 6 months. It'll be around December 10th. They said the extension. I don't know how long the trial's going to take, but yeah, she could face up to 10 years. I just don't know what they consider large. I thought it was a couple cartridges of CBD. That's
unless
considered
they don't
large.
Unless they don't understand what it is. You know, in Russia, maybe that's a different substance. Maybe that's a different penalty. Maybe just having the substance itself is, I don't know. But this whole thing has been weird to me. This should have been a slap on the wrist and she's back home within a couple months, and here she is. She's been there. The embassy can't get the phone call to work. She can't talk to her wife on her anniversary. And she's missing all the kids' birthdays and the wife's birthday, and they keep extending it, and she keeps saying they're not treating her bad, but it definitely isn't walking around being an American. You're not doing that. So to me, this is just a weird deal, and there's something we're not being told here. There's something that this 2 + 2 does not add up. It's for what she did and the way they're handling it. They're not equaling out.
And that's why people are kind of like going,
the punishment is not equaling the crime.
Well, that's why people are kind of questioning it. Are they holding her hostage? What's going on? Because
I think if the whole Ukraine thing's not going on right now, Brittany Griner's not over there. They take her CBD cartridges and send her back to America, and on away she goes.
I think you're exactly right. And someone said maybe they were planted. Maybe they planted them.
And that's a whole other avenue.
That's a whole.
She has not come out and said that. She has not come out and said, well, none of this is mine. I'm innocent completely. Yeah. She has not said that in any of the opportunities she's had to speak. So I believe I'm going to think that they were hers. I would have think by now you would have heard a rumbling from her or from her attorney that says, hey, this is ridiculous. They're not even hers to begin with. So I believe they were hers. She just either forgot they were in there or didn't realize that they were going to be a big issue, that she probably took them through every other customs that she went to, and then Russia decided to make a bigger deal out of it than what it was.
Right. Exactly. Well, that sucks. It's a horrible situation for her and her family and her teammates and the WNBA. I think they probably don't go to Russia again. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
If I'm the WNBA, that's where I start.
I don't.
If I'm the NBA, period. I mean, I don't.
Well, the NBA will go to China, even though they do a lot of questionable things. That's a whole nother deal. They got $10 billion wrapped up in China, and that's why they continue to do business with them.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different story there. But all right, guys. Well, that's our episode today. We gave you the headlines of the week. We gave you who we thought had the most pressure going into the season was in the top of the episode here, top of the hour. We be on every Tuesday and Friday, guys. We are on every podcast platform. We stream to Twitch, Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. We stream live. You can come on to YouTube, watch us live, and interact with the show. We will put your comments on here just like this and read them out for those on the podcast. But we're grateful for you guys taking your time out of your busy weeks to come on here and watch our listeners show. Share us around, guys. If you have any questions, any content you want us to talk about, opinions on anything, want to get to know us more personally, whatever it is, you can email us at outspokensportscast@gmail.com. You can leave us a message on Facebook. You can find us. It's all under Outspoken Sportscast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, all the above. So feel free to come listen, guys. We'll talk a little bit about everything. We talked about every sport here: basketball, hockey, football, and some baseball here. We're getting into that slow season here. Where only basically it is baseball season. Hockey just wrapped up, so we're gonna get those training. The OTAs are coming up for NFL, and we will always NFL keeps us going. So, all right, guys. Well, that's gonna be this episode. We'll see you back here on Friday, hopefully with all three of us again. And remember, guys, keep it outspoken.